Ivan and Eliza, written and read by Mary Teresa. Copyright 2017. The letter began with the usual formality and used Ivan's formal title, "My dearest Lord Mayor," and the letter writer paused to dip her quill into the tiny pot of ink. Her lettering was precise and minute. No margins were wasted, and her next words followed flush upon the salutation, for she could not afford the vellum such adherence to formality would cost her. It was both expensive and a controlled substance. She was a woman of breeding and education, the latter a rarity amongst her childhood friends, who learned to tat and quilt and put peaches up for the winter. They could not read, knew not what numbers were, and excluded her from their childish tea parties for her strange talents with letters and numbers. Eliza's father had been a man of substance, and while he was alive, her predilection for non-female activities was tolerated. Since his death, Eliza's income had been decimated, and her father's creditors took most of what he owned. Had he lived, perhaps Eliza would have married, but even when he was alive, suitors were shy of a woman who could read but not preserve peaches. Ivan had been a one-time suitor many years in the distant past. Eliza had been able to occupy former slave quarters and keep the surrounding plot of land her very own, because she was able to read. The loophole was there, and she would not be kept quiet. The council had decided to simply ignore her, and townfolk continued to exclude her. It was not this injustice of banishment that Eliza wasted precious ink upon, but a more grievous slight. Ivan, I write you to bid you well and ask of you a favor. You have read the recent bulletin and its article on justice. It has stirred a controversy in a most goodly fashion, for it had pithy parts. Well, kind sir, I wrote that under strictest of contract for payment and penmanship. The article was not signed by me, but by my contracting partner. I beseech you, Ivan, my dearest friend of youth, to intervene. The writer had signed it Eliza. The letter used an informal and entirely too familiar set of words. The messenger stood quietly and as closely to the fire as he could, without attention being aroused. The Lord Mayor wiped his brow and tossed the letter into the fire. "She expects an answer," the mayor said. The messenger nodded his head. "I am unable to help," and the mayor waved his hand to dismiss the messenger. Eliza bore the news with dignity. She had no reason to doubt the messenger's veracity. This was a time of honor among men, if not between men and women. The messenger was a foreigner, spoke a different tongue, and knew none of the parties involved. He had no interest, financial or malicious, in the outcome, and he left as soon as the mayor's message was delivered. Being a veteran message bearer, he recognized the signs of despair that occurs when ill news is what he recites. "Only that," Eliza murmured, and the messenger nodded his affirmation. "He cannot help you." Eliza subjected the statement to what she knew of the Lord Mayor, and knew this to be false, for he had influence in these matters, and the contracting partner was indebted to the mayor's family. All this Eliza recited to the messenger, who understood nothing of the substance. He could not understand the language Eliza spoke, and the gist of it was dependent on how the person spoke the words. His mute acceptance of Eliza's argument diffused the argument before she had finished reciting it. Of course, he chooses to not intervene. I am lost, Eliza said, as the messenger walked to the door. For someone ignorant of the language, the messenger walked rather quickly. He muttered to himself, I wish I'd come by night and left by night as well, for all the surrounding area is replete with spies, and they will guess. Oh, yes, they will guess. Eliza answered back, a truer word not spoken, messenger. My dispute is known well, and they will castigate me for it, for a woman has no right hereabouts to earn a living. If she is unwed, she is to starve, you see, and I argue against that. The article in dispute has been grievously changed to make the general case applicable only in the particular manner. What is general to humanity, sir, has been made particular to men, and will not tolerate such. Eliza stamped her foot, and her voice rose with mounting fury, but the messenger's horse, moving fast, drowned out what she said next. Only men could publish in this community of fair-minded folks, and Eliza had violated that explicit law. She sold her pieces under the name Anonymous, but this last had been so exceptional, the owner of the bulletin claimed it as his own. Eliza had no recourse, though she had tried multiple resources. Friends of her family and her father, business owners where she shopped. Her voice had been loud. Some called it shrill. With a shriek of a witch, started the rumor. The community was ripe for lynching. It had become bloodthirsty, for Eliza threatened its comfort. Change is always uncomfortable. Women can't even read, said one old woman who could not read. In a universal leap of faith, what the speaker cannot do, no one else is capable of. Eliza was not the first woman hung for witchcraft, nor the first to go on trial. Organizers of the trials thought putting her first might arouse suspicions as to the true nature of the witch hunt. No one much liked the first three witches either, and sometimes when a scapegoat must be found, this is all the reason that must be put forth. A week after the messenger left, the bulletin listed the names of the 4 witches hung that week, and Eliza's name was listed there. It was the only way a woman could get into print.